Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to Fallout New Vegas, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Tesla Cannon, a weapon that has been recommended quite a bit, and a really cool weapon. This first appeared in Fallout 3, I believe. I don't think there was a Tesla Cannon in the previous games, although there was sort of zap-type weapons like this, but not an actual Tesla Cannon. This one has been kind of scaled down from what it is in Fallout 3, where in Fallout 3 it is just an absolute powerhouse. In this, it's still quite strong. It is still really good. It's just not quite that crazy. So the Tesla Cannon requires 100 energy weapons and 8 strength to wield. A lot of energy weapons, a lot of strength, although weirdly enough, these weapons don't actually weigh very much. So you don't actually need to have like strength to carry them around, as well as the ammo that they use is, I think, the most lightweight out of any of the ammos for energy weapons, which is interesting enough. The Tesla Cannon does 80 damage on hits, and then it does an additional 20 damage for 2 seconds because this does kind of burn enemies over time, which is pretty cool. I do like that about it. This does 107 DPS. You can shoot the Tesla Cannon kind of fast, but it's a little bit awkward to be shooting really quick because you don't necessarily have that many shots in total. But you can shoot those shots out faster than what you would kind of expect for a big two-handed weapon like this. This does 40 crit damage, so half of its regular damage, which is interesting. I'm not sure why Obsidian decided to actually cut the crit chance on some of these weapons in half, at least on the higher scaling weapons, like this, the Gauss Rifle, the Super Sledge. Not entirely sure why that was, especially since this one has a 2x crit modifier, so it kind of incentivizes hitting crits, which is good. That's always cool. This costs 37 action points. The Tesla Cannons aren't necessarily the best to be using in VATS. They're not the worst by any means. They would be a decent overall option, but probably not the best, especially since energy weapons have some really crazy VATS options, and the Tesla Cannon isn't really one of those. This has extremely low spread at 0.1. It is very, very accurate at basically any range. That's really good to see. The Tesla Cannon has a mag size of 20, however, it does consume 5 ammo per shot, so you actually only have 4 shots in this, but it does load up 20 of the charge packs, and this is one of the few weapons that does use the charge pack. It's this, the RCW, and like the Gatling laser, and those are about the only ones that use it, so it's not really in much competition with the other ones, and this one is definitely like the most sniper-like out of those weapons, whereas the Gatling laser and the laser RCW are more like close range, full auto guns that work really well at those ranges. This also weighs only 8, which isn't very heavy for a weapon like this. I don't know why it's so lightweight, but yeah, the Tesla Cannon isn't affected by the heavyweight perk or anything. You don't need it if you want to cut this thing's weight in half. Well, you can't really do that. Pack Rat could help with cutting down the ammo, but that helps with every weapon if you're playing on the hardcore difficulty. And the Tesla Cannon has 80 item health, so it can break kind of fast, although you're not going to be shooting the Tesla Cannon a whole lot, usually. You can kind of spam this, but I tend to use it more similar to kind of like the missile launcher. Sort of. It's like a mix between a missile launcher and like the Gauss Rifle, where I'm going to be using this at long range to mostly engage enemies, and not really use it at close range, although at close range it's not too bad either. It's just the reload speed is a little bit slow, so after you fire out those couple shots, then I usually end up putting it away and then switching to whatever my other energy weapon is that I have for like my go-to at close range. For the general pros of the Tesla Cannon, this one does do high damage and has very long range. Those are fantastic things about this weapon. It's really good for engaging enemies. For the cons of this one, it is very rare. It's really hard to find Tesla Cannons. The Brotherhood will sell them, and I believe the Silver Rush can sell them, but they're about the only two that actually do, and basically no enemies carry around Tesla Cannons. Not even the Brotherhood carries around Tesla Cannons, so you're probably going to be having to buy this, or having to spawn it in, or there's a couple of places where you can find it. I think you can find one in the Brotherhood Safe House, but that might be the only one that you can find. You could potentially run into ammo issues with this too, and item health issues, but those usually don't pull up too often, because you don't need to shoot this out too often. It doesn't eat through ammo that fast, as well as the ammo that it does have is pretty good. Health, if you have weapon repair kits, it's pretty easy to fix, or if you have jury rigging, it's fairly easy to fix these as well, so that might not be such a big deal. The other kind of con that I noticed when I was testing this out more extensively, because I don't use the Tesla Cannon too often, at least the regular one, is that if you're shooting at very long range against small enemies, it's kind of difficult to hit them because the beam seems to be much bigger than it actually is when it counts as a direct hit on something. So it's really easy to hit really big targets, like if you're shooting at a Deathclaw or a giant Rad Scorpion or something, really easy to hit them. But if you're shooting at like a human-sized enemy, sometimes it looks like you just shoot right through them, but I guess you shot to the side of them or shot underneath their arm or something like that. And I found it to be a little bit awkward, at least to where it was like human-sized enemies and smaller than that. Bigger enemies weren't such a big deal. There are a couple of perks that help out with this one too. There's nothing that actually directly helps this because this isn't a laser weapon, so it doesn't benefit from like laser commander, and it's not a plasma weapon either, so it wouldn't benefit from like plasma spaz, but it can still benefit from like meltdown if you want to do more AoE damage, and crit perks can also help this if you want to build them, so that can be kind of nice. There is also the different ammo types that you can use in this. Since this does use the electronic charge pack, it has a couple different options there. You've got the standard packs, which just give you regular damage, however they do cut through 2 armor. That's something that's really cool about energy weapons, is that their ammo does give you armor breaking. You have the bulk cells, which you can usually buy a lot of them, and honestly, Tesla Cannon's not bad at using them. This reduces your damage by 15%, but it breaks your weapon 15% slower, so it's not that big of a deal. You have the overcharge cells, which give you 25% more damage, punch through 5 armor, but break your weapon 50% faster. You have the max charge cells, which give you 50% more damage, but break your weapon 2.5 times faster. If you're putting those in the Tesla Cannon, you will hit things really hard, but you'll also break the weapon really fast too, especially the other versions of this that we need to talk about too, because the regular Tesla Cannon, weirdly enough, actually has the most item health out of any of them. And then we also have the optimized cells, which these ones give you 30% more damage, punch through 5 armor, and only break your weapon 10% faster. I'd highly recommend that you just use the optimized cells. You will need a perk to get this. You'll need Vigilant Recycler, but it is totally worth it because it is very, very useful for these type of weapons. For an overall rating for the Tesla Cannon, I'd probably put this one up into A tier. It's a pretty solid all-around weapon. I like it for engagements, although I don't use the regular Tesla Cannon too often because I usually get the unique version or versions of it faster than I get the regular version. So let's talk about the unique versions. There is 2 of them. One of them is DLC and one of them is the base game. We're going to be talking about the one in the base game first. This is called the Tesla Baton Prototype. You can find this very far south on the map where you have the atomic test site where the ghouls are, and there's a hunting shotgun there, which is pretty awesome. But if you go a little ways further than that, you'll find the Crash Verte Ber there. The robots down there are actually pretty tough because they're like Mr. Gutsies and the sentry bots, so they are pretty dangerous sometimes. You have to be careful about that. They can have missile launchers, and the plasma rifles they have also hurt quite a bit. But if you can kill these guys, or if you can, I guess, sneak past them with like a stealth boy, then you can grab this off of a corpse that's nearby. I think it's just a skeleton that has it. This one requires 100 energy weapons and 8 strength as well. It does visually look different, whereas the regular Tesla Cannon's blue. This one is yellow, which is pretty cool, I guess, if you like that color. This one does more damage, 90 damage per hit, and then 25 damage for 2 seconds afterward. Has 121 DPS, which is nice. This one does 45 crit damage, so still following the trend of cutting its regular damage in half for the crit damage, don't know why. Has a 2 times crit modifier, very good, also costs 37 action points. This one is even more accurate than the previous gun, and the previous gun was already super accurate. This one is 0.08 spread, so very minimal spread at any range. This one still weighs 8, but instead of having the 80 item health that the regular Tesla Cannon has, this one only has 40. It's cut in half, so this one breaks really fast, and that can be kind of an issue. This is generally like my go-to for the Tesla Cannon if I want something, but I'm not using it a whole lot even in energy weapon builds. It's something I can get pretty early on because it's not difficult to get like pulse grenades or pulse mines or even pulse grenades for your grenade rifle and take out the robots in order to actually pick this up. But with its low item health and with me usually not having jury rigging by the time I get it, I usually save it until I have like jury rigging so I can fix it, or I have weapon repair kits so I can fix it so I can use this for an engage. I also forgot the mag size. Mag size is 24 on this one, but it still takes 6 ammo per shot. So it's taking up more ammo, but you do have the same amount of shots that you otherwise would. These shots are just more powerful. This one is pretty decent too, if you can get it early on enough, and you actually can get it fairly early on if you would like to. It's pretty decent, but I think I would still probably put it up into A tier. I don't use it that much just because it breaks really fast, and that's kind of my major problem with it. Now there is one more Tesla Cannon, and this one can be found in Old World Blues. This one can be found at Elijah's Overlook, and this is Elijah's jury-rigged Tesla Cannon. So Elijah made a Tesla Cannon inside of Old World Blues, and this one is pretty cool. This one requires 100 energy weapons and 8 strength to wield as well. This one does 85 damage per shot, and then it does 20 damage for 2 seconds. So it's right in between the other Tesla cannons. It doesn't do as much as the prototype Tesla, but it does more than the regular Tesla cannon per shot. This one actually has the highest DPS because it has a faster fire rate than the other ones at 134, which is decent. This one also does 45 crit damage, which is also okay. Has still the same 2 times crit modifier, which is good. 37 action points, just like the other ones. This one is the most accurate out of any of the Tesla cannons, though, with a perfect 0 for spread. I believe it's only this weapon and like the alien blaster that have perfect spread like this, so it is pinpoint accurate at any distance. so long as you have the energy weapons and the strength in order to wield it effectively, otherwise your person will still sway when shooting it. This one holds 30 rounds in it rather than the others, and this one actually just takes up 5 ammo per shot, so you actually get 6 shots with this one, so you get the most amount of shots out of this, which gives you the most DPS, at least in a long drawn out fight. This one also weighs 8 like the other Tesla cannons, and this one only has 50 item health, so it's a little bit better than the prototype, but still worse than the regular one, and it can break really fast. This one is one of the strongest weapons that you can find in Old Wood Blues, and it's really cool to use there. I still find myself using like the LAER that's modded out, or even Elijah's LAER over Elijah's jury rig Tesla cannon, but I still can't deny that this one is strong, so I'm also going to put this one up into A tier too. I think all of these are very solid weapons. I could see people arguing them for S tier though too. They are very good, they are very fun. I don't use them a whole lot, which is why I don't have as strong of an opinion about them. I still end up using things like the LAER or the Gauss rifle over these for similar jobs. But if you like the look of them, and they do look really cool, then by all means use them. Would I recommend the Tesla cannon? Sure. If you like using it, if you like the look of it, go for it. It's really, really cool. If energy weapons aren't your style, then maybe not, but that would be about the only exception to this. Or I guess if you don't have any ammo. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. Tell me your thoughts on the Tesla cannon and all of its variants down in the comments below. How do you enjoy using this weapon? I really like this weapon in Fallout 3. It's one of my absolutely favorite weapons. In New Vegas, less so, but it's just because it's more rare. And the Tesla cannon in Fallout 3 was like a one-of-a-kind thing that you're not getting until the very end game anyway. Or maybe it was a two-of-a-kind thing. Don't remember how many you could get in Fallout 3. Either way, very cool weapon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'll talk to you next time. Take care, and bye-bye, everybody.